Assalamu alaikum. Good day, guys. In today's video, we will be talking about introduction to web development, and these are objectives for the video. At the end of the video, you should be able to understand how the internet works. Probably not deeply understand how the internet works, but you should have an understanding of how internet works. Then, at the end of the video, you should be able to understand the differences between front end and back end, so that the next time you hear about front end, whenever you hear front end or back end, you should know what they mean. And then you should be able to understand the rules of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then lastly, you should be able to view the HTML on any given website. I'm going to show you how to do that at the end of this video. Alright, so let's start from the first one. What is internet? Internet is the interconnections of networks. That is, it is a global network of computers and devices that are connected to each other. It allows these devices to communicate and share information. That is just what internet is. It's just an interconnection, a global interconnection of computers. This connects to this, connect to this, connect to this, and they are able to communicate between themselves and share information. So we have our basic components of the internet. The first one is the devices, which is what you access the internet with. It might be your computers, it might be your smartphone, it might be your tablet, any device that you use to access the internet. Then we have another type of device called the server. You see, the servers are also computers, just like the computers you use to access the internet. But these servers are specialized computers that store and manage websites. They store information that you access when you try to get when you access the internet. So the information are coming from a place called the server. Then we have the routers, which are devices that direct internet traffic between different devices and network. Then we have way in which these computers, the interconnection of computers, communicate through one another. They communicate through protocols, and among the protocols we have number one, HTTPS, called Hypertext Transfer Protocol, or the Hypertext Transfer Protocol that is secured. This is a communication protocol that is basically used to transfer web pages and resources. So mainly this is the one you use every day when you access your internet. This is just for transferring web pages and resources. We have another type of protocol called the File Transfer Protocol, FTP. This is mainly for transferring files between computers. Apart from HTTP, which is used to transfer web pages and other types of resources, FTP is used to transfer files. We have another type of protocol called the SMTP, POP, or the IMAP. This protocol is used to transfer emails, to send and receive emails. That is the communication. That's what this communication protocol is for. Then we have another thing called the IP address, and the IP address. You see, every device you see out there, every device that is connected to the internet has a specific address, a unique identifier that is called the IP address. That's the internet protocol address, and it's basically like this. As you can see, this like 216.58223.206, and every website too has an internet protocol address, and this is how it looks like. But the problem with the internet address is, in this form, you may not be able to, if I'm showing you this, you may not know what exactly this is for. But this is the website actually. If you press it, if you check this on your internet, if you check this on your browser, it's going to take you to the website. So just like we have every house, every location on earth has its latitude and longitude when you join it together. but you may not even remember the latitude and longitude of any location or every location that you want to go to. What you just need to remember is the name. So that is why we have what is called domain and URLs. So domain name, these are human readable address, something like www.something.com, www.google.com, .facebook.com. You can remember that. It is a human readable address. You can read it, you can be able to understand when you see it for the first time. For example, this www.example.com, okay, you can know that example.com. But if I ask you to memorize this, it might give you a tough time. Though some people might be able to memorize it. So that is the importance of domain name. And then we have the URL, the Uniform Resource Locator, which is the complete form of the address. HTTPS, I told you this is a communication protocol to access web pages and resources. And then this is the complete address with probably another thing in front of it. So that is called the URL, the complete web address. And then we have what is called the domain name system. So just like I said that every device out there that's connected to the internet has a unique identifier, and all those devices where the web resources are saved or are stored and you want to access them, just like we call them the server, they all have internet protocol address too. But you may not remember the internet protocol address. That is why we have the domain name system. The domain name system is just like your phone book. It translates the human readable domain names into IP addresses. For example, you want to access this website, this, but you can't even remember. All you need to remember is the name of the address, probably if it is google.com or facebook.com. And once you insert that into your browser, it takes the domain, it goes to the domain name system, which is the DNS, and the DNS translates that whatever name you put there, the human readable domain name, into IP address to go and search for exactly where it is. For example, your phone book, you may not really remember the numbers of the people you saved. For example, you save somebody's number, maybe let me say for example you want to call your dad, you may not even remember his number. Probably you might remember that, maybe 0 something 0 or whatever it is, but you won't be able to remember 50 to 60 people's phone number. All you just need to do is to save it on your mobile phone, and once you are ready to call them, you just go to your phone book and you type the name, you call the name, and your phone book translates that name into what? Into the actual number. That is exactly what the DNS does. So it helps your device to locate the correct server when you enter the domain in your browser, because you can't even remember the location itself yourself. The location is an IP address. So something like this I showed you the other time is actually the IP address of google.com. So let's copy this and check. Where's my browser? As you can see, this is the IP address, and when I try to search the IP address, let's see where it takes me to. You see, it actually takes me to google.com, because that is the IP address. And if you type google.com, it's the same thing. So the DNS will convert this into the IP address and gives you back the resource, the web page you are looking for. As you can see, this is it. It is the same thing as this. That is IP address for you and DNS. So that is the function. That's the function of the DNS, which help in translating the human readable address into the actual address itself in order to locate the correct server and the web page or the resource you are looking for. So I hope you will be able to understand the differences between IP address, what they are for, the domains and URL, then the domain name system. Next thing here is the browsers. The browsers are software applications that will retrieve or display web page. For example, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, and others. An example is the one I showed you just now. This is Chrome, and it was the one I used in order to obtain that resource that I was looking for. Then we have what is called the clients. The clients are those that are devices and software that request and consume data from servers. So for example, while I type google.com, I am a client now. I am requesting for this resource. I'm a client and I want that from the server. Then we have what is called the request and response. When I typed that google.com, and I sent it, I made a request and it returned, the server gave me something like this, it returned this back to me. So that is basically the request and response cycle. So when you enter a URL, don't forget what the URL is. That's the complete address, right? The complete web address. When you enter it in your browser and press enter, your device sends a request to the server associated with that URL. How does your device know the server? Through the what? Through the DNS. Do you understand? Don't forget that the server has its own address called the Internet Protocol address, IP address, and you probably don't know that. But since we have the domain name system, it's going to map or translate your human readable address that you inputted in your browser into the actual IP address in order to search for the correct server. And the server processes that request and sends back a response containing the requested data in form of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But what I saw here was not in the form of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. This was the work of the browser. So your browser will now convert that HTML, CSS to JavaScript to something appealing so that you can see. So HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, this is the language of the web. So that is the form of the data that is being sent back. Something like this. So when you type udemy.com, it's actually sent back something you might probably call gibberish. But your browsers will understand that gibberish and will translate it to what it actually means, and you see it like this. So this is the actual response you get, something like this, and your browser translates it to something like this. So let me go back again with the internet. So imagine internet as a huge library filled with books. Have you ever been to a library? Are you the type that read books? If you not assume an internet is a library filled with books, and each book represents a website or a piece of information you want to access. Now you can't just go and pick any book, because there are librarians, which are servers, who manage and store these books, and we have visitors, which is somebody like you, like your device, who wants to read them and access them. So something like this. Now, just like I said, the books, that's the websites, right? And the librarians are the servers. So each website is like a book in the library. It has information, pictures, and maybe even interactive part like games or forms. Whatever it is you want to access, you know what you are looking for. Do you understand? Now, when you want to access this, there are people called there is the server that stores the book, which are the librarians. They hold the books, that is the website in this case of the internet, and they are responsible for giving them to visitors. Who are the visitors? Your device, the client, when the client requests for it. Apart from that, there is what is called the library catalog, which is the DNS, the domain name system. Because you probably don't know where a book is stored when you enter a library. You have several shelves of books, and you just know the name of the book you are looking for. For example, you want to read Harry Potter, but you don't know where Harry Potter is saved, is being stored. You don't know exactly which shelf, which number is being saved. So all what you need is check the library catalog. To find the book, you don't even need to know where it is stored. You just need the title, that is the web address, right? The human readable address. The library catalog will help you find the right shelf. When you just check through the catalog and you are looking for this, it will tell you you can go to this shelf. That's exactly where it is located. So that's just like DNS. DNS will direct you when you input a human readable address like google.com, and it will translate it and tell you what exactly the IP address is, telling you where it is located. Now, when you want to get the book, that's making a request, right? So when you want to read the book, that's probably you want to visit the website. You ask the librarian, which is the server for it, and you use the book's title to make your request, because it will be asked, okay, what book you want to read? I want to read Harry Potter. So that book's title is the URL, the complete address, and you enter your request, and then you get your response. You open the book, you get your response, because the server will check through don't forget the DNS, the catalog, that's the DNS, domain name system, has already translated the human readable address into the real address itself, or let me say in this case of the library, the catalog. So the librarian will now check the catalog, find the book for you, that's the website, and give it to you. That's the response, the server response. So it will give it to you. What the librarian will give to you will be in form of the book. Definitely, that's the book. But if you are talking about the internet, it will be in form of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's the website. So whatever it is you are looking for will be there in the website. Now, that's all about the internet, just basic understanding of what the internet generally entails. That's not everything about the internet, but at least it is just little about the internet. Now, we'll move to the next thing, which is front end and back end. What is front end? What is back end? When we talk about the front end, it is everything that it refers to everything a user interacts with on the website. When you go to a web page, let's go to this again. When you go to a web page, let's say google.com, all these you are seeing is the front end. What the user sees and what the user interacts with. This exactly. So when you go to facebook.com, or let me see, when you go to udemy.com, when you go to udemy.com, you see something like this. So you have all these designs, you see the text, and you click these, you check these, you type here, you see what is called the front end. This is what the user sees, that is the front end, what you interact with. I hope you get that. So the front end consists of what is called the user interface, that is the UI. When we talk about the user interface, this is the look and the feel of the website. It might be a website, it might be a mobile app, it might be a software. Do you understand? It includes all those buttons, the menus, the images, and all those visual elements. It might be a picture, it might be any other thing. It might be probably an animation. Everything here, probably this button here, this is what is called the user interface, the UI. So the UI design focuses on creating a user-friendly and visually appealing interface. Though some websites may not have the visually appealing interface, well, it will still be an interface. Then we have what is called the user experience. User experience is concerned with how the user interacts with the interface, making your experience smooth. So think of it like when you enter a room, probably a room in a house, and you see the furniture, you look at the furnitures around, that's the UI. But how these furnitures are arranged in order to ensure comfort and easy navigation is what is called user experience. You may have all those furniture arranged haphazardly that if you want to probably find your way to the kitchen, you need to go like this and go like this and go. That's a bad user experience. Even though might still be it may be visually appealing, like the stack of those furniture may be beautiful or visually appealing to you, but then to be able to have a smooth experience, you won't have. So the UI is there but doesn't have the user experience. Then they have the languages and technologies, the programming languages and technologies that we use in developing the front end are basically three. We have the HTML, which is hypertext markup language, and this is responsible for the structure of the web page. We have the CSS and we have the JavaScript. I'll still talk about that later. And then other things that include part of the front end will be browser compatibility. Yes, we have different browsers. We have the Chrome, we have the Edge, we have the Firefox and Safari. So the people developing, for example, a front end developer will put that in mind. Some things might be compatible with Chrome and may not be compatible with Edge. Let me see. So the user will know how to do their way so that you'll be able to see it very good on Chrome, and when you switch to Edge you still see it very well, and other types of browsers. The next one is the back end. So we've understood what the front end is. Now let's go to the back, talk about the back end. The back end is like the infrastructure and behind the scenes operation of the house. This is where the server side logic is. That's the data processing, storage, and overall. For example, if I access all this data, these things, let me see, this list of courses is actually coming from somewhere. Of course, they are being stored somewhere, and the way they are being presented to me, and when I add it to cards, how to process and everything, the logics that is there is actually what is called the back end. And you have database management where you store and retrieve the data. Everything is the back end. You don't see that. And the server side technology that we use, the back end technologies and languages that we use are languages like Python, Ruby on Rails, PHP, and we have frameworks like Node.js, Django, Flask, Spring Boot for Java, and others. We have server management tools and databases like MySQL, MongoDB, Postgres, and other things that we can have. So look at this, for example. This is an analogy of back end, front end, and there's something called API, which I've not talked about. So when you move to, let me use a restaurant for example. This, when you enter a restaurant, you see that the restaurant will be very, very beautiful. Yes, this is something like this, and you will love it. And look at the way the chairs are arranged. So that is the UI and the UX. That is what you can be able to access. This is the front end, and then you see the list of food, whatever it is. You understand? That is the front end itself. But do you see this back end? You don't even know how the kitchen is. All what you know is that you want to eat. So this is the back end, where everything is being done, where the main thing is being done is the back end. So the cooking, the storage of the rice, the beans, the potatoes, every other thing else. They have the stores where they store it. You don't know if they store it very well. Probably if rats has eaten part of the rice that was cooked for you. You don't know how the kitchen is. You don't know what type of cooking, what type of pots they used. Do you understand? All those things happen in the back end, in the back. That's why it's called the back end. I mean, not the back. Not because it's in the back actually. So it's the back end. Now you come to the front end, you make requests. Do you understand? And there are some specific people that are called the API, Application Programming Interface. They are responsible of taking your request, do you understand, to the back end and bringing the resource for you, what you need. So just like they are the waiter and the waitress. You know what I'm saying? So they don't need to know how the food is being cooked. All what they do is come take your order, take it to the kitchen and bring back what you need. That is what API is for. But look at this kitchen. Definitely, if you knew how this kitchen was, You will probably want to sit in this restaurant. But then here, since the front end, what you are seeing, what you are able to interact with is very appealing to you, you sit down and have your meal. Though I don't know if the meal will be sweet or not, but let's assume it will be sweet. Let's take another analogy, something like this. Okay, now look at the front end. So look at how the chairs are being arranged in a circular manner. You love this, and yeah, let's say this is different. We have the back end, and this back end is actually, well, good too. But I assume the food they will be cooking will be sweet, because it's not just about the good arrangement, and it's how the data will be, and we have the API. You understand? So that is all about backend, frontend, and APIs. I hope you should be able to understand the differences between backend now, frontend, and API. API is just what connects the backend and the frontend. You make your request, it takes, go to the kitchen, bring it back, serve you what you needed. So that is what is called the API, and it is called the application programming interface. So let's talk about the front end technologies. The first one is the HTML, that is hypertext markup language. Basically, the HTML is the structure, and the content is for the structure and the content of the website. It is a markup language used to structure the content of the website. It defines the building blocks of a page, such as the headings, the paragraph, list, images, and all other things that may be contained in website. For example, look at this web page. All this text is from the HTML, the headings, whatever it is, but the way they are arranged may not be probably from the HTML, and the way the design is. But HTML is the structure itself. And then we have the second one that is called the CSS, cascading style sheet. Well, as the name implies, it is for styling and presentation. So this is what actually gives it the style. You understand? Let's say HTML is a noun, while CSS is the adjective. What's the adjectives? They make nouns appear more beautiful, isn't it? They go further to describe, to tell you more about the noun. So this is CSS. It's basically aspect of color, layout. For example, the color of the text here should be black. The layout here, this should hover, when you hover over this, it should give you this. You understand? This is from the CSS. This is arranged in this manner. This is the CSS, so that it will look good. Because if the CSS is removed, definitely you will know what logo or how the website looks. You understand? Then we have the last one, which is JavaScript. JavaScript is for the interactivity and the dynamic behavior of the website. So that is what JavaScript is for. Then you may not probably fully understand how the role and function of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Just take these little snippets, and in our next class we'll go deep into discussing what HTML, CSS, and JavaScript is. Now take this analogy. This is HTML, which is the structure itself. This is how everyone looks like, isn't it? Then when you join it with CSS, HTML plus CSS, that's when you have the styling, and look at how it is. But still, it's not complete until you add the JavaScript. That gives it the interactivity. See, it can dance now, it can move, and then other things. You get what I'm saying? So that is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript for you. Now we'll come to the last aspect of this video, which is to be able to view the structure, which is the HTML, right? The structure of any website you are on. So if you're on any website, for example, let's say you are using your browser. Let's say you are using Chrome, for example, since I'm using Chrome here. If you're on Mac, you're going to press Command Option U, or you press Command Shift I if you are on Windows. Or you can go to the browser. Let's use this Udemy, for example. You can click here, you can see something here. That's the first thing you can do. If you want to check it, you can see something here, and when you come down, you check this, look at more tools. and save the developer tools here. When you click on it, you see it opens something in the right side here, and you can see its elements here. So you can see it looks like what I showed you the other time, the picture of the type of response. So this is the HTML of these websites. You understand? So if another shortcut is pressing if you're Mac, the Command Shift U or Command Shift I, Control Shift I if you're on Windows. And that is all. That will bring us to the end of this video. If you have any question, if there is anything, any comments, anything you want to add, feel free to comment under this video. So thank you for your time. See you in the next class.
غرباء غرباء غرباء